Fans around the world are very curious as to exactly how both J.J. Abrams and Chris Terrio will be combining all 9 movies into one big Star Wars film. This is Mike Zero here. If you guys are new to the channel, do make sure to subscribe to see future Star Wars content. Now, one thing that we have been talking about these past couple of days or so heavily is, of course, Emperor Palpatine and his involvement in Star Wars Episode 9. I don't know if you guys heard the big discussion just about 4 days, maybe 5 days ago, that a young Palpatine could very well be portrayed by Matt Smith in Star Wars Episode 9. We do know that Smith has a vital and key role in the Episode 9 plot, so that also could explain as to why he would be portraying a younger version of Emperor Palpatine. It's a very interesting rumor for sure, and I really do hope it ends up being true. Now, looking past all of this, alright, these past weeks or so, we've been learning a whole lot more about this film when it comes to some of the set leaks, the set designs, the concept art and storyboard descriptions, etc. One of which consists of a description of Kylo Ren in his throne room, examining a console. He is holding a device in his hand. Kylo activates the device and a hologram of Palpatine is projected to Ren. The hologram here has color and does not have the traditional blue hue and transparency. Palpatine has the hood off of his head, showing his deformities and scars. Palpatine begins to project a massive device to Kylo Ren indirectly, located on an unknown world, highlighted on a map of the galaxy located in the unknown region sector. The weapon appears to be dormant, a super weapon perhaps, on a rocky world with rivers. The large weapon or device is described as a cylindrical shape with 2 large wings on each end of the device and or super weapon, with a cockpit in the front. This could be a mobile super weapon created by the Empire years ago that was left abandoned. The figure of Palpatine in the hologram reappears, pulling the hood over his head before his transmission cuts. So this is the thing that I find very, very interesting. Now, we heard about this lightly about 2 to 3 weeks ago about another super weapon being a part in Episode 9. I don't know if you guys heard the big story. Very interesting read for sure. And I believe that that most definitely lines directly up with this. Now, Emperor Palpatine projecting himself and then projecting a location in the galaxy of a map of the galaxy in the unknown regions. Going to this rocky planet with rivers on it, I'm not quite sure what kind of planet that could be. Not quite sure. There's a lot of planets that are kind of like that, so there's a lot of choices to be made in this film. As far as this device goes, how it's got like this cylindrical design with wings on each side, it sounds to me like what we saw at the very end of The Last Jedi, where it actually uses the Death Star technology to burst through the crate base door in order to break through, except with wings on it. Maybe it's a version of that that's actually mobile. Now, it could be that this is going to be the essential piece to the Death Star, except it's able to fly around by a pilot and or pilots that are able to actually go from one world to the other and actually destroy it at a faster rate. Now, I don't know about you guys, but super weapons in Episode 9 I think is a risky deal here by Disney and Lucasfilm. Because if you look at The Force Awakens, Starkiller Base basically was a emulated version of the Death Star 1 and 2. I think that we can all pretty much agree with that, right? And then in The Last Jedi, thankfully, we kind of shifted away from the concept of super weapons and we focused more on massive ships, the supremacy, right? We actually saw that the finalizers were still in play here, but the Dreadnought actually had an artillery cannon that destroyed the Dakar base. Now, going into Episode 9, if it's going to follow the original trilogy format, where in the first film you had a super weapon, and in the last film there was a return of a super weapon. Now, they could be following that rule once again, where in Episode 9 we're going to get yet another super weapon, but this time it may be very well different in comparison to the Death Star and or Starkiller Base, where it's basically borrowing the Death Star technology, because we do know that the First Order has that tech, and they actually are going to modify this device that's actually abandoned by the Empire, that Emperor Palpatine points out to Kylo Ren indirectly, and that's how Kylo Ren learns about it. Now, I don't know about you guys, but Emperor Palpatine in the form of a hologram to me sounds pretty cool in his older self, the way that we actually knew him in Revenge of the Sith. So with that being said, if you guys read a lot of the books out there falling under the Disney canon, you will learn that he does have a heavy interest in Jakku. He also has a ton of vaults around the galaxy that actually have a lot of Sith and Jedi lore. So it's without question to think, that maybe he does have this device on a planet that maybe was a location of the headquarters of the Empire, like in case something bad happened or something around those lines. I think a super weapon in Episode 9 is kind of like a risky deal by Disney. We'll have to wait and see exactly what they do, but I would love to hear your opinions below in the comments section. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.